welcome back to Beyond the Spectrum. This is Dream, sharing our family's journey with autism with you, and this is episode 27. We're getting to the end. We're getting closer to the age that he is now, and I will tell you this right now. I would love for you to send me questions about him, because I'm going to have him on an interview, probably for episode 29 and 30. It's going to finish off with just maybe kind of an interview on episode 29, and then just maybe some thoughts, just casual conversation in episode 30 and finishing out there. Maybe we'll even get him to play a song for us or something. I don't know. Is that lame? That's the mom coming through. So yes, if you have questions that you would like to ask, then please go to the blog link that I have in the episode notes, and feel free to drop questions there. These episodes of the podcast drop at least a week later on YouTube. So when I do them on Anchor and Spotify, you're getting them right away. And then you get, on YouTube, you get them a week later. So by the time that you hear this, you will be out of the loop. You will not be able to drop questions. I don't think that we're going to continue this series after 30, but I'm open to it. I would have to have a reason to, basically. I feel like I'm giving you all that we have up until, present day. If there are people that still kind of want to follow the journey, I'm open to it, but I kind of don't think people do. I just kind of think this will end up being a 30-day thing. So we'll see what happens. If it ends up being something that goes longer and I see that you have questions, then yeah, we'll go ahead and maybe we'll have kind of a episode 31 or something where we can answer additional questions. So hope that makes sense. Feel free to share is what I'm saying. But if it ends at 30 and we don't get to your question, then just kind of understand that you can always reach out to us and we will try to answer your questions personally. And maybe on the last one, I'll drop my email address or something. Anyway, let's get rid of all that housekeeping stuff and get into this episode. So yes, we're kind of finishing up now, and I'll just kind of share with you maybe a transition between that whole attitude of, I don't know what he's doing, he doesn't know what he's doing, but we're good, and then where he is right now. So there was kind of that transition period where we were looking at him and just going, well, what do you think you might want to do? Let's start the same way that we did when you were a little child and said, hey, here's your talents. Let's kind of get you into a position where we can start supporting that in some way and giving you some practice in that, so that at least you can see if in practicing it, you go, okay, well, I hate this. Hey, that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. If we practice something and we're like, that's not what I thought it would be, and I can cross that off my list, I think any type of, thing that whittles down the list is helpful. Either it's a positive push into going, ooh, I love this, or it's a negative kind of thing, which is still a positive saying, ooh, I hate this. Let's just kind of hone that a little bit so that we know where we're going and we at least are trying and not stagnating. So yeah. So what were his gifts at the time? Musician. I've mentioned this, and we never ended up getting to do a different song because he works, and then he comes home and he's kind of in this stage right now where he's figuring out what's happening and taking a little bit of time for himself and just kind of resting his mind. So I'm not pushing him to, hey, produce another song for me. But he is an incredible musician, and I'm not sure if I shared this story, but we sing together, my daughter, my son, and myself, we all sing together, and so there are times when, we're just kind of sitting around and enjoying singing and talking, and, just that kind of comfortable space where it's almost like a jam session, kind of hanging out session, kind of watching movies and playing games and eating snacks and then coming back to music. It's just one of those really comfortable, spaces. And he just starts playing this song, and I'm listening and I'm thinking, I don't know if I've ever heard this song on the radio before. He does a lot of covers, but of course he listens to a lot of different music now, and I don't know. And so he's singing this, and I'm thinking, this is really good. How have I not heard this on the radio? And he gets through the whole thing, and I'm just like, Micah, what what song is that? Who does that? And he just goes, it's mine. I wrote it. Okay. Proud mommy moment here for a moment where I'm just like, are you kidding me? I was floored, Now, do I think that he's going to be a rock star? Do I think he's going to have his own YouTube channel with me? No, I don't. I really don't. I think there's an opportunity for him to do a lot of different things as a hobby and probably make money. Of course, I don't know if you know of me in my blog, you know that I make money on my blog, and you know that I help people learn how to do that. So I could obviously get him into a position where, yes, that could be an option for him. Will it be a career? I never give people, the illusion that they could be the next YouTube channel star or anything like that, No, I think that it would be something that will be fulfilling for him and show him, that he can actually make money on this on the side and have fun with it and enjoy that. But is it a career? I don't think so. Then he starts looking into, well, I actually love instruments. And I would actually love to learn how to make instruments, And when you think about it, we see these like reels on Instagram, and we see, YouTube channels of people that have, by the time we see them, they've been doing it for 10 years. And we think, oh, wow, look at this person. Like, they just have this amazing opportunity where they can have a career doing something that they love, but we don't actually see the start of that. We don't see the start where it was literally the moment where a son or a daughter is telling their parents, hey, I actually love to create instruments. I'd love to do that. So is this the start of something for him? It's kind of where you're at that stage where you're just trying to continue to like give a little support underneath the ideas that you think, let's see, let's test. It's been that way since the beginning, right? It hasn't changed. From 2 to 5 to 11 till now, we're still doing the same thing, just in different aspects and at different ages with different expectations. Then he started, I think during COVID, and realizing, a lot of the things that he was kind of watching in the world and being impacted by that, seeing the things that were happening with the food supply and really having an appreciation for the people who were prepared. All of a sudden he starts getting into, I think I want to do farming possibly. And he is, because he has been working ever since he was 14. I'm not sure if I actually talked about this in the podcast, but because we worked at the camp, he had the opportunity to, at the age of 14, work for his dad in the kitchen. And so he is now 22. So he has worked ever since then, and we have had him set aside, money for his future. And so he's gotten himself into a place where he can actually invest into that future should he choose to step out in that arena. And so, for him to be able to say, maybe I want to have my own YouTube channel and be a musician. Maybe I want to, go learn how to build this instrument. Maybe I want to buy certain things. We have helped him to be in a position where he can take those opportunities because he has the means to do that now. Same thing with farming. If all of a sudden he's like, hey, you know what? I think I need to spend whatever, $500 on this because I think it's a good project. It's not where he's like, oh, I have these ideas and these plans, but I have no way to get myself there, or I have to take a loan out, or I have to. No, actually, because all along the way we did have a different approach. Now he's in a really good place to be able to explore these options for himself. And just kind of silly things now too, like, I shouldn't say it's silly, but I don't think it's something that he's ever going to take seriously, but baking, he's worked in the kitchen with his dad, and he's had the opportunity to learn, different techniques and get those work ethics and responsibility and independence and, hone those skills in the kitchen. And I can't bake. Like, no, we've learned how to kind of do certain things, but Micah, because he has the patience, because he can sit there and do things for an hour in this repetitive motion. Remember when I talked about finding things that were socially acceptable to get out those kind of tics or unusual behaviors where, it's repetitive motion? And how do we find a way to fulfill that for them, but in a way that nobody looks at that, cross-eyed? They just think, oh, he's just baking. He's just kneading dough. He's just, and so it's neat to see how these things come full circle, right? Because he would be in the kitchen for an hour, doing this repetitive motion, kind of being in his own world. And to the outside world, we would look at that and just say, that is someone who loves to bake, and never know anything different. And I think that's probably how we've kind of gotten away with a lot of the things that there are people now that are listening to this podcast that are sending me messages and saying, I never knew, and it's hard for us to believe because there were such definite signs that there were such clear indications, all along the way that if you're paying attention, you can see. But I think we had this really nice, balanced way of disguising the things that might hurt him and accenting the things that were acceptable. And it was just a beautiful thing, and still is today, that people will come to me and say that, and say, I had no idea. And now, other parents that have neurodivergent children will go, I thought so, but I wasn't sure, and I didn't want to, and it's really interesting to me to see that we're kind of here, where we've made it through. And, part of me thinks maybe I shouldn't have said anything then, but no, I think that our story is actually one. There should be more people that are telling this story instead of hiding the fact, that like, hey, we made it through and now I'm not going to say anything because we'll just kind of, blend into society. No, share those victories, share those successes, and proudly say, I am autistic, and look at who I am, and look at what I do. I think if we take, pride in our perceived weaknesses and turn them into victories, and then have the boldness and courage to share that with the world, it takes away the negativity, So, yeah. All of these things, I'm trying to kind of tie a bow around this. I'm trying to bring us up to speed, and just tell you, we still don't have it all figured out. We don't, but we're living life day by day, and we're continuing to support him in his ideas. And sometimes they don't work out, and sometimes they do. In the next one, I'm going to share kind of a final thing that's happened in the last 4 or 5 months that's just been amazing and has been everything that we needed right at the right time. And was there because I think we were preparing all along the way so that when the opportunity came, we could grasp it and run with it. So yeah, do that. Don't wait for the right mix of things to just happen and then be like, ooh, I think we could do this. Get your child and your family ready to accept those things so that when they come, you can grab them then, and then you can run with them with a lot more confidence. So it's my final one tomorrow. Then we'll get into Mikey time. That's all for today. I'll see you tomorrow.